Morning all. So I think let me just start with the session. First of all, I will just introduce myself for those who are not aware who am I. My name is Dhaval Gandhi. I'm director of Navkar Digital Institute, and we are basically as a Navkar Digital Institute, we are offering various courses across the nation. So dropout ratio is very high in chartered accountancy. You guys must be aware of that, and that's why probably we've tried one time, two times, three times, five times, maybe more than that. So they have spent, and if they get a negative result, then obviously, what is the future? That's where actually, friends, Navkar thought that apart from offering the chartered accountancy courses, we should offer such courses which are parallel to chartered accountancy but are having better is there. UK ACCA is there, international CFA is there, and there are few more courses. So this session, which is about alternative career options for chartered accountancy students, is ideally focusing on that only. That what are the alternatives for chartered accountancy students if they get negative result, maybe a time. What are because let's say you have spent 5-7 years in doing CA, and at the end, maybe in foundation or in intermediate or in final, wherever you fail, and then you give up. Now, what is your option? I mean, you will go in a CA firm and do a job, or you will go, trying a lot for chartered accountancy. If I'm going to do a job at 15 or 20,000 a month, I mean, yeah, there are some bright students who started doing excellent in the practical world. But I'm talking about an average to attempt. Should I think there are certain things which one has to consider? For example, friends, let's say May 20. Should I think of November 22 in your CA career? I don't suggest that you should straight away move to the alternative career options. Rather, focus on your goal. Maybe if some November 21 student who has, I mean, originally November 21 for the first time, failed, appealed, and would ask me, sir, should I still try November 22 or should I switch over to alternative career option? I would still suggest that on case to case basis, we afford 190. I won't suggest that you give up the course and you move to the some other course. I think try one more time, probably in November 22 you will clear it. So then someone would ask me, sir, who should drop? They are appeal time more than 4 times, more than 5 times. So, if they have appeared multiple times, then in that case, ideally, I would suggest that yeah, you think of an alternative course option. So, important point is that if you are failing for once or twice, I don't suggest you to switch over. But if you are failing multiple times, now what are the alternative course options available? Now that also depends on lot of aspects. For example, have you failed important? Let's say if a student fails in CA final and is looking for an alternative course option, we always suggest that if you want to focus on accounts and audit and taxation only. So though you have failed in CA final, but you want to focus on accounts or audit or taxation, I think the best is CPA or UK ACCA. I'll go to the course also. I'll explain each of them separately, and we'll talk about which one is better. But a student can go for ACCA, a student can go for USCM. So these are the options. Now, but before I talk about a foundation student should go for what, or an intermediate student should go for what, or a final student should go for what. So let me just first explain this course, and then I'll talk about who are the right candidate for that, whether a foundation student, an intermediate student, or a final student. So when I say USCMA, it stands as US Certified Management Accountant. It's basically ideally it focuses on accounting part, it focuses on few of the costing portion, and it also focuses on the financial part. Obviously it has IT also as a part of the syllabus, but mainly focus moves around accounting, costing, and financing. someone would ask me, sir, after doing this course, if I am looking, or you will get an opportunity in an outsourcing industry where you are supposed to focus on foreign accounting part. Now, talking about this course, it has only two papers to clear. The first paper and the second paper, both papers are of 500 marks. Yes, each paper is of 500 marks, and the passing mark is 72%. So that means 360. So out of 500, if you want to clear it, you have to score 360 in both of them. Let us say you have appeared for paper 1 and you have scored 360 in that and you have cleared it. Appear for paper 1 again, the way we do in CA. Let's say we appear for 4 papers, and if we fail in one of them, we have to appear all 4 again. So that is what we have seen in CA. But that's not the way this international course works. It says if you have appeared for paper 1 and cleared it, and then you appeared for paper 2, and then you fail in that, then you just have to reappear paper 2 only. You don't have to start with paper 1 again. That's basic criteria. So ideally speaking, go for and start preparing for paper 1, clear it. Now that is again one of the advantage. You don't have to appear for both the papers simultaneously. In CA, if you let's say take up an exam in November 22 and there are 4 papers, then all 4 papers are required to be given in November. But in international courses, you don't have to do that. You start with one paper, you do your preparation, then you clear it similarly. You don't have to go for both the papers simultaneously in one go. So that is something which we always keep in mind, that with regard to international courses, that is US CMA when we talk about, so you have to clear only 2 papers. You can clear it one by one. You don't have to take a burden of both the papers in one go. Someone would ask me, sir, exams when? Like in CA, we have an exam in May and November. When the exam happens in CMA? In CA, so we have May and November. 6 months in a year. So in January, February, exams are conducted, but in March, April, not. Then again in May and June, exams will be conducted, but in July and August, it won't be. Similarly, in September, October, the exams will be conducted, but November, December, exam won't be there. So in a year, at least 6 months exams are being conducted, and 6 months there won't be any exam. Now, ideally speaking, somewhere in September or October, what I always suggest is, let's say if you start in September, so September, October, November, you prepare one subject, revise it, write few more papers, and then take an exam date of January, and then go and appear in January and clear it. Then start another subject in January end or February. Then do it for say in Feb, March, and April, and then take an exam date somewhere in May, and then clear it. So even if you start in September, by May, I think you will be able to become a US certified management accountant. So this is an excellent option. An entire exam is MCQ driven. Yeah, MCQs are of two different types. One is what we consider as a normal MCQ, where you will have question and then 4 options, and then you have to select. And then there are MCQs which are called TBS, which we called as task-based solution. And when I say task-based solution, so ideally speaking, uh, they will give you a big case study, maybe one page full case study, and then after MCQs. But yes, the papers are mainly of MCQs only. It is purely MCQ driven, and it is MCQ, normal MCQs, and then task-based questions are there. Now, if a student focuses or which starts from this September, then by March, definitely we will be able to complete the examination, or maybe mostly by April, we'll be able to complete the examination and we'll get a qualification. Now, if I qualify, what are the job opportunities? Or you will get a job opportunity in an outsourcing industry. And the pay package generally is around 30,000 per month. So I mean, like there are some students who have got a package of 5 lakhs also. There are some students who have got a package of 4 lakhs also, and there are some students who have got around 3 or 3.5 lakhs also. So it purely depends on how your interview goes and in what type of organization you are going. But still, what I understand is you will start earning 30-40,000 a month, which is a good amount. It's a good thing to begin with. And on the other side, if you see what are the expenses involved, then ideally on expense side, if you see, it costs you around 1.2 to 1.25 lakhs. So it's not that expensive, precisely speaking. On one side, you have the registration and examination cost, which is around $311 for one paper, which is an examination cost. So $311 for one paper would mean as two papers, it will cost you around $622. And plus there is registration cost, which is around 180, $190. So ideally, when you put them together, it is around $800 something. So if you consider today's exchange rate, I guess it is roughly around 80. One more advice that there are chances that a parent came to me saying that I want my child to become an independent person at the earliest. So I suggested them you do USCM. But then the child was saying that I want to do CPA also. So I said you start doing USCMA, complete in 8 months, start earning 30,000-40,000 a month, become an independent person, work for a year or two, gather the money, and then you sponsor your CPA rather than being a liability on parent. Now you become an independent person and then start spending on your own studies. I think this is something which is an ideal option for the people who are thinking of an alternative after failing multiple times and are looking for an alternative which is not so costly. And I think USCMA is one of the excellent options. Moving ahead with that, which next alternative is there that we suggest? The next alternative is called US CPA. Now, CPA is a course which I would suggest only to those who are CA final phase students, or in some cases intermediate also. I'll give you in which cases. But the point is not for foundation students. Foundation students, initially though I won't suggest. In an exceptional case, yes, that we also suggest, but that I'll talk about when. Uh, First, let me explain what is USCPA. So it's called Certified Public Accountant. CPA is world's largest accounting body. I would say Indian CA and US CPA are parallel level options. Indian CA is world's second largest accounting body. The way we have chartered accountancy in India, in US it is called Certified Public Accountant. So it's called US CPA. So Indian CA accounting body is world's second largest accounting body. The first one is the CPA one. It is US Certified Public Accountant. It talks about only 4 papers. The first paper is what we called as FAR. FAR is basically accountancy. So it talks about US GAAP. I mean, CA students understand. We follow Ind AS. They follow US GAAP, IFRS. It talks about US GAAP and IFRS. So FAR is basically accountancy. The second is auditing. So those who are CA finance students understand, or even CA inter students understand what is auditing. The third one, so first is, as I said, FAR. The second one is, as I said, auditing. The third paper is known as regulation. Regulation is basically US regulation, so US law and US taxation. And the fourth one is called business environment and concept. So it has a bit of economics, it has a bit of ethics. So it's a mix of 2-3 different portions. But see, ideally speaking, there are 4 subjects. Each paper is of 100 marks only, and the passing marks is 75. So out of 100, you are supposed to score 75. Then only you will be able to clear it. But the best part is, despite 75% as passing mark, the global average passing ratio in CPA is more than 50%. In fact, if you see last 2 years, it is more than actually 60%. I'm talking about global passing ratio. So across the world, the people who are pursuing CA, out of 100, almost 60 are clearing. So ideally speaking, this is an excellent option. And if someone would ask me, sir, whether this ratio, I mean, you said about global, what about the Indian context? So I think it is actually better, because an Indian who is doing CPA is clearing, I mean, out of 100, almost 75 plus people are clearing. So in Indian context, this ratio is even better. So global passing ratio is above 50, but in Indian context, it is 75. So ideally speaking, in CA where we have the very tough passing criteria, this option is extraordinary option because the passing ratio is very excellent. This becomes an ideal option. You have cleared intermediate, you have tried and clearing final, but in final your overall passing is 5%, 10%, 15%, in some cases 20 also. As compared to that, here the passing is 60, 70, 75. So your chances of clearing this are likely very high. So if you have not cleared your CPA in 2 attempts or 3 attempts, or CA in 2 attempts or 3 attempts or 4 attempts, I think one should consider the option of US CPA. The exams are getting conducted in India. In even US CMA also, the exams are getting conducted in India. In CP also, exams are getting conducted in India. So you don't have to go for the qualification. To go abroad to give the exam. And someone would ask me, sir, what if I clear? Whether I'll get a job in India or I'll get a job abroad. So ideally, the job opportunities are available for CPAs in India also. Someone would ask me where. So I would suggest MNCs, option number one. Option number two, outsourcing industry. And option number three, big four. Big four CA students understand that I'm talking about the big four CA firms across the globe. These three, four options are always there. Someone would ask me in MNC why. So try and understand a multinational company which is having a setup in India as well as a setup in US. Uh, when they have a setup in India, for their accounting, they have to follow INDES, which is Indian Accounting Standards. In a similar way, if they have a setup in US also, they have to follow US GAAP. Now, if they have a setup in both the countries, that means they have to follow INDES as well as US GAAP, both of them. So I think a person who has done a CPA and is having also knowledge of INDES would be a right as well as INDES. Similar way, in when you are doing Indian CA, you have studied Indian taxation, and when you study CPA, you study the US taxation. So ideally speaking, an MNC who has to whenever they make a transaction, so MNCs would always take you because they are getting a better option where the person, the candidate, accounting standards as well as foreign accounting standards and Indian taxation as well as foreign taxation. So you become a right candidate for this kind of companies. Why? So I told you MNC. Second option I told you is outsourcing. So obviously outsourcing industry में होता क्या है? फॉरेन की कंपनीज का काम आउटसोर्स होके इंडिया आ रहा है एंड इन इंडिया वी डू दैट accounting work, taxation work. So foreign companies work will be outsourced to India, and in India we do all this kind of work. So if the foreign accounting work gets outsourced to India, so the people will do that work in India. Who will do that work? A person who has a knowledge of US GAAP will be able to do it better. When foreign taxation work gets outsourced to India, so who will do that work? A person who has a knowledge of foreign taxation, US taxation will be able to do it better. So you always become a right candidate when you talk about US CPA and getting a job in an outsourcing company. It's always a great option. And the last the option, the first I said MNCs, the second I talked about is the outsourcing industry. And the third one, the last one, where I believe you will get a great job option is the big four. That a multinational company which is there in India as well as in US is uh, prepared after considering Indian state by big four. You should have a knowledge of Indian taxation as well as US taxation. So if you are working in a big four as an auditor and as an hands-on experience of Indian taxation papers are there, what is the passing ratio. I also talked about where you will get a job opportunity. Now let me talk about the expense side, which is equally important. And I'll also talk about at what package you will get placed. So when I say expense, turns out to be 3.5x. So the first expense is registration expense, which is around $400. You have to pay $400 to get registered with AICPA. AICPA is a body that conducts this course, this examination, everything. So your registration expense is $400. And similar way, your examination cost is $600 per paper. And when I say $600 per paper, so $600 into 4, that turns out to be $2,400 because there are 4 papers. So $2,400 plus $400 registration. So ideally it is $2,800, which is registration and examination cost. And when you take an exchange rate of 80, that roughly turns out to be 2,25,000. Obviously, with a fluctuation in dollar, it will go plus minus, but roughly it turns out to be 2,25,000. That is an ideal amount that you are supposed to spend to get yourself registered in the year, 8 months a year. So ideally speaking, the exams are happening throughout the year. See, earlier what used to happen is in January, February exams were conducted, in March it was not conducted. In April, May the exams were conducted, in June it was not. In July, August the exams were conducted, in September it was not. Similarly, October, November the exams were conducted, in December it was not. But I think during this COVID and even after that, still the exams are happening throughout the year. So ideally, what happens is you start studying the subject. When you complete it, you take an exam date, you clear it, then you move towards the next paper. Start studying it, revise it, take an exam, clear it, then go to next paper. Now someone would ask, sir, I cleared first paper, then I cleared second, then I failed in third. Should I reappear everything together? No, friends, you just have to reappear third paper again. And the best part is you don't have to go for all four papers together. You can do it at your own comfort. You can start studying today and then you can move ahead. One by one, you can definitely do it. Now comes a very, very important point for USCPA, and that is about eligibility criteria. For USCPA, we have eligibility criteria, and that's where I was saying that I won't suggest this to everyone. First, I'll tell you what is the eligibility criteria. So there are two, three options available. Option number one is there that you complete your graduation and then you become eligible for CPA. Now, when I say graduation, they are not talking about graduation in India. They are talking about graduation in US context. I mean, you may do it in India, but point is, it should be in US context. And in US, the graduation is not of 3 years. In US, the graduation is of 4 years. So ideally, when I say the graduation is of 4 years, so in India, when you do BCom from a normal college, it gives you, I mean, your 3 years are done, you're graduate in India, but your 4 years graduation is still not done. So what is the next option? So that's where a person needs an additional qualification to get qualified. So either we suggest people to go for an MCom and complete that MCom. So once you complete that MCom, even 1 year of MCom, that means you are done with 4 years of graduation, and that means you are becoming eligible for the course called US CPA. So that becomes a very relevant criteria. Or there are students who have approached us and have not done MCom, but if you have cleared a professional course like CA Inter, then also you become eligible. So CA Intermediate plus BCom will make you eligible for that. Actually, the point is they have a credit system. They have a point system. They say 120 points are bare minimum if you want to apply for USCPA. And if you want to go for a practice, then 120 is also not enough. You need 150 points. Then only you can go for the practice part. But let's say we are talking about job only. So when we talk about job, you need 120 points. Now, the graduation in India is 90 points only. So now you need additional 30 points. So how will you get it? So either you do 1 year of MCom to get an additional 30 points, or you go for Inter CA. That will also give you 30 points. Or you go for USCMA. USCMA also qualifies with 30 points. So you become eligible for USCPA. But you need an additional qualification. If you do not have that qualification, you will not be able to go for the USCPA. So do graduation and then get an additional qualification. Additional qualification would mean as either 1 year of MCom or inter dropout. Now that's where I was saying that foundation students should not think of it, because if you fail for 2-3 times in foundation and if you think of CPA, so then ideally speaking, let's say either you are at the verge of completing your graduation or maybe you will complete it soon, but that will give you 90 credit. What about remaining 30 or 60? So then you have to go for an MCom and then only you can complete your CPA part. I mean, you can start your CPA part. As compared to that, intermediate clear student may already have this required qualification, or final fail student may already have this qualification, so he or she should think of a qualification which is US CPA. But yes, we have observed in past also that a student, I mean, recently I talked about, I think in May or June, one of our student who couldn't clear foundation itself, but did BCom, also did MCom 1 year, so that means qualified and appeared for CPA and cleared it. Now the student was purely from Gujarati medium, somewhere from Rajkot. Gujarati medium background. I mean foundation, CA foundation clear नहीं हो रहा था, but did BCom, did MCom, studied CPA and cleared. So ideally speaking, foundation background students also are appearing for this and are clearing it. It's not that foundation students are not doing it, but for them, they have to first see when you are doing foundation, probably you are doing graduation. So you have to wait at least for next 1 or 2 years to complete your graduation, then complete your 1 year of MCom, then become eligible and then go for it. And if you cannot wait for this 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, then ideally the CPA will not become an option for you. So then you can go for CMA option, which is an equally good option to begin with at least. Then you complete your CMA, you meanwhile complete your BCom, so you become eligible for CPA. By that time you'll become independent also, you'll start earning 30,000 a month. Now work for a year, gather the money and then spend that amount on CPA. I think that's very much possible. So I believe everybody understood about the CPA part, that who should do it, what are the expense, what are the job opportunities, whether one should go for after, I mean, like after foundation one can go, after intermediate one can go, final one can go, when and where one should go for CPA. And with regard to papers, as I said, 4 papers, 100 marks each. If I talk about paper pattern, so in first paper, that is FAR, I mean, see, all the papers are MCQ based only, except in last paper, there is 15 marks which is descriptive. Remaining everything is MCQ based. So in first paper, that is FAR, in second paper, that is auditing, and in third paper, that is regulation, it is 100% MCQ only. Yeah, there is a bifurcation that 50 marks of MCQs are direct MCQs, normal MCQs, and remaining 50 marks is task-based solution. It's called TBS. So ultimately, it will be MCQ only, but 50 marks direct MCQ and 50 marks TBS will be there for first 3 papers, that is FAR, auditing, and regulation. The fourth one, where it's called BEC, 50 marks direct MCQ will remain. 35 marks task-based solution, and last 15 marks will be descriptive. But the entire paper will happen in computer only, so you don't have to take a pen and paper to write everything. MCQs will also be on computer, and the descriptive paper will also be on computer, where you have to type on the word part that this is the solution of the question that has been asked. So I think everyone is clear with regard to what is called US CPA. I've already explained to you guys that what is US CMA, that what is US CPA. Moving ahead with that, the next option, as I said, is UK ACCA. Now, basically, it's a CA of United Kingdom, so it is CA of UK, and this also has an excellent opportunity across the world, because this is valid in 180, 190 countries of the world. And this is an excellent option also, because ideally speaking, you need to understand that wherever, we always say on a lighter note that in all the countries where Britishers have ruled, this course is valid. In India, they have ruled. In India, this course is valid. In you name the country where they have ruled, this course is valid. So it has a global validity, and so ideally, when we talk about this ACCA, it has 3 levels. Like CA, it has 3 levels. There is level 1, there is level 2, there is level 3. Level 1 talks about, it's known as foundation. So it's, I mean, in CA it's known as foundation. In ACCA we know it as knowledge level. Level 2 is known as skill level, and level 3 is known as professional level. So it has 3 levels: knowledge, skill, and professional level. When I say level 1, knowledge level, it consists of 3 papers. When I say level 2, it consists of 6 papers. And when I say level 3, it consists of 4 papers. So totally, you have to go for 13 papers if you want to crack ACCA. But ideally speaking, there are exemptions also. Yes, there are exemptions. For example, if a student is done with BCom, then out of 13 papers, he will get an exemption in 4 papers. So he is supposed to do only 9 papers. Similar way, if a student is done with BCom and has cracked foundation as well as I mean, like group one of CA intermediate, then he will get an exemption in 5 papers, not 4, 5. So 4 exemptions he will get because of the BCom route and 4 exemptions. So total exemption will not be 4, rather it will become 5. Similar way, if I say in CA intermediate, if you clear group 2 also, then you will get not 5 exemptions, you will get 6 exemptions. So a student who has done CA intermediate entirely, he will get 6 exemptions. Com route and 1 exemption for clearing CA intermediate group 1 and 1 more exemption for clearing CA intermediate group 2. So if a student has not cleared an entire group 1 or group 2, but also has cleared 40 marks in 1 or 2 paper, then also there is an exemption available. So there are is around 3.5 to 4 lakhs, and with that expense, I mean, the ideal package that an ACCA student gets is around 6 lakh. Now, ACCA becomes an ideal option whether you fail in foundation, you fail in inter, or you fail in final. Because if you fail in foundation but you are done with BCom, you'll have some exemption. If you fail in intermediate but have cleared some paper and you have a BCom, you will get more exemptions. If you have cleared foundation and intermediate and fail in final, or maybe clear, you will have more exemptions. So ACCA gives you exemption depending on that. Or again, multinational companies again. In fact, the ACCA Institute itself is doing a lot for your job. I think even CPA is not doing that. CPA Institute is not doing that. AICPA is not doing. CM Institute, which is known as IMA, they are also not doing. But ACCA Institute is working a lot for your job opportunity. They have created their own website. You do a search on Google, job at ACCA. It will direct you to the ACCA official website. Over there, you will find out that how many jobs are available at any given point of time across the globe for ACCA candidates. You will go there, you will find a number gets changed, and once that candidate gets higher, that number gets reduced. So it works on real time. Excellent website that they have created for the candidates who have cleared ACCA and are looking for a job opportunity. So that is again a good option. How the papers will be conducted? If someone would ask me whether the paper will be MCQ based or descriptive, so level 1 is entirely MCQ. Level 2, 50%, around 40-50% is MCQ and Word, because you have to do calculations. So you have to prepare balance sheet, you have to do sums. So that is required to be done on Excel, so that you can use the Notepad, Word, whatever you say. So basically, level 2 is a mixture of MCQ and descriptive and the calculations. And level 3 is more a descriptive and calculations than MCQ. So it would be a written exam in level 3. 1 and 2, it will be a computer based exam. So that's how the ACCA works. When the exam happens, level 1 throughout the year, you prepare once you in 4 times, in March, in June. But again, as I said, the passing ratio is excellent. And average passing in ACCA is around 50-55%. So it's an excellent career option, to be very precise. And ACCA, as I said, March, June, September, and December. So if someone is having doubt, sir, when exactly? So in first week of March, in first week of June, in first week of, I mean, not first week, first 10 days, first 15 days of March, June, September, and December. And there are possibility in this March you are taking one paper, in June you are taking another paper, in September you are taking another paper, in December you are taking another paper. So by doing one paper in each quarter, I think you can after 10. After 10th itself, you can start appearing for the exam. We have seen students clearing level 1 and 2 while they are doing only 11th and 12th. At least level 1 तो many students are clearing with us. Level 2 also, or maybe few papers of level 2 they clear before 12. So after 12 they have to do a very less efforts to complete the remaining papers. We have seen students that was done with BCom, but before BCom he is done with ACCA. Reason? Because you can start early, immediately after 10. So that's again an excellent option. So I think more or less I talked about ACCA also. See, there are more options also like international CFA. There is something called CISA also, and many other options are there. But ideally, the best options that I believe is there is CFP also. But the best options that I believe is I've already communicated. That is ACCA, CMA, and CPA part. So depending on that, your eligibility, your criteria, I believe you should switch over from CA to the alternative career options, assuming that you are failing back to back in CA. If you have failed only once in CA, I believe still you should try. But if that is happening on repetitive basis and we are not able to clear it, but we want a bright future, we want an excellent future, then I think we have few good options available with us, and these options work in an excellent way. So do think of such options. For inquiry, obviously you can connect with our counselor, and obviously the numbers are flashing on the screen, so you can call the counselor on those numbers, and you can join for the relevant course. I believe more or less we have justified with regard to what we are supposed to do. I would just come like to end this session. Thank you everyone for your precious time, and would like to meet you soon with the understanding of what you want to pursue. Uh, Accordingly, we will be able to take it. And if someone wants an individual advice, we'll definitely be able to meet and guide them. So, thank you for your time, and best wishes for the future.